I am the last of a breed.
It's late summer in the Rockies, and after a busy spring chasing bears, mountain man Laramie Miller has switched gears and is prepping for the upcoming trapping season.
You know, whenever I do anything, I always think back to the old trappers and mountain men of the day. And it's crazy because trapping, you know, most people think, well, it just became big in, you know, the 1700s. Well, believe it or not, trapping was actually dates all the way back to the Ice Age. I mean, people have always needed furs to keep warm, so they learned how to trap. Trapping actually became big about 1600, and in 1670, I believe it was, the Hudson Bay Company, you know, they started sending trappers out west, and they'd send them in pretty good sized groups. What that led to is exploration of the entire western United States. You know, the trappers would go out there, they would see the place, they'd talk about it, and then settlers would want to go settle it. Obviously, that always became a problem with the Native Americans, just because, well, you wouldn't really like it if somebody came and tried to settle on your land either. You know, and then you take trapping all the way up until about the mid-1900s is when it really just fell off. And nowadays, it makes me sad because nobody traps anymore. You know, I look at the way I was raised, and you look at the shop I'm in right now. My grandpa never was so much of a trapper, but he's been a leather worker his entire life, and that's where I learned my skills and my, you know, knowledge about leather working is through him and my uncles. It's becoming a lost art, and we need to get our kids and pass it on to our kids. It's not lucrative anymore. You can't make any money trapping, but it's a necessity, and it's something that I don't ever want to see die. It's always crazy to me how the mountain men and the Native Americans figured out different stuff and, you know, what it would do. And, you know, like right here, I usually use bear fat to waterproof my buckskins. Well, I'm fresh out of bear fat, so I've got mink oil. And, you know, all you're doing is trying to condition that leather and make it just to where the water runs off instead of soaks in. And that's a full-time job. I mean, you wash your camo. Well, I don't really wash this, but I spread bear fat or mink oil on it quite often. The cool thing for me is trapping season never really ends. Yeah, you have trapping season in the fall. Well, then once you get the fall and winter done, you get done trapping, then you have to go and you have to take all your hides. You have to flesh them all. You know, there's always the skinning. Then you got to brain tan them. And boy, I tell you what, brain tanning's not easy work. Right here I've already got a trap line set. I set it a couple days ago. And this is just a conibear trap set in a runway. These beavers are running up and down right now. It's late fall. They're trying to get as much wood and bark as they can to stock up for the winter. So they're eating all these willows. They're taking them back to their hut. They're trying to make sure that their dam is nice and sealed up because they need that water level up so that they can survive the winter. Because if they're out of the water, they're gonna be dead. If that water freezes up inside that hut, there won't be no beavers left in there. So what I'm doing is I've torn the dam apart a couple places, set some lake holes. I've got a couple conibears set in a couple runways like this. I'm gonna set a few more, and then it's just a waiting game. I love trapping because it's like a game of chess. It's not like hunting. Hunting, you get within 100 yards of an animal. Trapping, you gotta get it to go in that one spot you have a trap set. It's a challenge, but I love it. Tell you what, that little sucker's been busy right here. You can see where he's been eating a bunch of these willows, cutting them down. His hut's right there, so he has to be funneling through here. So this would be a good spot to set another conibear. Tell you what, I've been doing this for a long time, and that still makes me nervous because that 330 conibear, if it closes on your hand, might as well kiss them knuckles goodbye. And you always want to set, when you're setting these, you can see the trigger right there. Well, you want that trigger to be where you think that beaver's gonna come from. So that beaver's dam and hut is that way. So I wanna set it with the trigger facing to where I'm at right now, because more than likely he's gonna come right down this slough, headed for this water. He'll go right through that and voila. Now what I've done is I've got it set, but I'm gonna take a couple sticks and I'm gonna shove them in the springs. So when that thing traps, that beaver doesn't float down wherever. That's just kind of to hold it. And then I'll take the chain and I'll just wrap it around these willows. Good to go.